Hey guys, what's up? So the next poem I'll be reading, which is actually a story, is 1819, and this is titled Check on the Kids. 2 years ago, I attempted to write this as the final installment to the series to one of my favorite short murder mystery stories. Part 1 was The Wife, Part 2, The Mistress, and Part 3, The Wife and Mistress. Today, I came across this, which was originally titled The Children, Part 4, and reread it, and really wasn't impressed with what I did to finalize it. I wanted to end it a darker way, so I decided to delete all of it and start over. This is what I came up with. Check on the kids. Mom was a big CEO to a company, and my other mom, well, she had big dreams of being a big name fashion designer in the city. It never really happened, but she was able to open a boutique downtown, selling some of her clothes, jewelry, shoes, and makeup. Both of them retired young, and we live comfortably with my little brother, which is a horror movie freak, in a beautiful neighborhood. If you haven't figured out, I'm a 15-year-old girl with a chip on her shoulder. However, there are so many rules that we have to obey. One, we can't bring up the past. In other words, out of respect to them and our new life where everything was given to us. You see, my brother and me, we were very little when we were taken from our home. Apparently, it was broken. That's what our moms told us. And that's where we were taken to an orphanage, and they adopted us. So, the past is the past. Rule 2. Don't talk back to either one of them. Both of them do things in their own way. Sometimes we question their motives, but they always end up making it up to us around Christmas time. We get the best presents ever. So we don't ever complain. Rule 3. Since we live in a very gossipy town, we were told never to reveal the true nature of two moms, which was so disappointing, especially in this day and age, but they didn't want anyone to know they were lesbians. So, other mom was supposed to be mom's sister, which was so weird, but we obeyed the rules until one day. Everyone in the neighborhood was pretty nice, except our actual neighbor. She was an older lady. Her name was Edna Stone. It was weird when I first saw her. I felt like I had seen her before, like in a dream or something. Anyway, she was always giving our moms a hard time, whether it was the garbage on the wrong side of the street, if it was our dog that took a number 2 on her lawn, or just the looks she would give us. One morning, we were waiting outside for our mom to take us to school, and she walked by. She looked at me and my brother and came to me since I was older and asked if I wanted to come to her house after school. Weird. She had something to show me. My brother told her to leave us alone. My mom finally came outside. Maybe she heard the commotion from the open window and saw Edna and I talking. She quickly told her to mind her own business and to leave us alone. One day, you and her are gonna burn in hell for everything. Mom unlocked the doors to the car as we all got in, and the little old lady kept arguing by herself. Mother took a deep breath and looked at us and said, "You see, this is why we have to keep everything a secret, because there are people who don't understand." Jake looked at me and then back at Mom. "But Emily in my class has 2 dads, and she tells everyone." Her eyes grew from the rearview mirror. "Well, you're not Emily." The whole ride to school was quiet. She dropped us off in the front and made sure to tell us to come straight home after school. However, for me, well, curiosity killed the cat. I felt like there was more to the story. As I got older, I only wanted to know more about my past, and the fact that Edna hated our moms, it just didn't make sense. So after school, we came home. Well, Jake went home to have a horror movie marathon with his friends, and I went to Edna's house. She wasn't hostile like she was in the morning. She even let me in her home and offered me lemonade with chocolate chip cookies. I kindly rejected and asked her what was her issue with our moms. She sat there on the kitchen table, taking a sip from her tea. She looked directly into my eyes and said, "You look so much like your father." I was in shock. I couldn't believe this. You knew my father? She nodded her head. Did you know my mother too? Edna came closer to my face with a worried look. What have they told you about your life, sweetie? She got up and left the room, leaving me confused with so many questions in my head. She came back into the kitchen with a scrapbook, putting on her glasses and showing me so many articles. One was of the mayor of that town during that year, shaking heads with the president. Then I saw him at a tie and gown function. There was a picture of him with Mom. I don't understand. I turned the page and saw an article. Two innocent women, the wife and the mistress. I didn't get this. The pieces were there, but the image of the puzzle wasn't coming together. Your father and your mother, pointing at the picture. I used to be your babysitter. You and your brother's babysitter. When they would go out, I always had a feeling your father was having an affair, which was wrong, but it was all a setup. After all these years, I see they planned this. They plan on killing him for his money. I couldn't believe this, but as I turned the pages and looked at all the dates and why the lady was telling me this, it made sense. I went back home to tell my brother. He was more in shock than I was. For dinner, we all were quiet until I opened up my mouth and asked, who was our real dad? My brother's face lit up in shock. I said it again, but louder. And both moms told me to go upstairs, that I was grounded. They asked Jake who I was talking to. He said he didn't know, but they kept badgering him, even blocked him with a new game. Until he said, Edna. One mom whispered into the other's ear, take care of that tonight, while she smiled and told her son to go upstairs and finish his homework. That night, Edna went downstairs to have 3 Oreos with milk, her usual routine, before bedtime. Then went upstairs. When she heard a noise, she looked back down, but no one was there. She was about to take another step when she was pushed down the stairs. The next day, after school, I went to Edna's house, but no one answered the door. Her neighbor told me the paramedics took her to the hospital. She fell down the stairs. After last night's dinner and what she told me, I put everything together and knew that that wasn't true. So a plan was going on in my head. I went home and went to my brother's room and saw all the posters on his wall of the horror movies and smiled. I have an idea that would make a great movie. Are you ready? That night, there was screaming and a stabbing and 2 gunshots in our house. Both frantic kids called the police. Apparently, both women got into an ugly fight, concluding with their own deaths. That's what the kids told the police. A few weeks later, the house was sold and the 2 kids moved in with Edna. Not only that, but they even got the money, the inheritance that was left to them. Not from their moms, but from their dad, which gave them the opportunity to attend a private academy for boys and girls. Finally, they were in the right place and they were both happy. On the first day of school, 3 boys were making fun of my little brother. I had to pull him out of the garbage can. During swimming practice, the coach found 3 boys' necks slit in the bloody pool. I smiled as I put the knife in my locker.